Teaching Satanism in schools sounds like the stuff of horror movies, but a US court ruling on religious freedoms has enabled devil worshippers in Florida to hand out educational material about their beliefs to kids at state schools. Rena Portnaya has this report.
Public education in America often uses coloring books to teach young Americans about math, science, and current events. This year, a new book filled with games and lessons about Satanism could be distributed to students attending public school in Florida's Orange County. The 10-page Satanic Children's Big Book of Activities features characters named Annabelle and Damien who demonstrate rituals to explain Satanism. This expanding wealth of information for America's young minds was made possible after a Florida judge last month ruled that if the Orange County School District allowed Christian groups to disseminate Bibles and other materials in its schools, then other religious and atheist groups should be given the same right to distribute their material. And followers of the Antichrist seized on the decision to treat all faiths equally. A spokesman for the Satanic Temple tells Raw Story that, quote, if a public school board is going to allow religious pamphlets and full Bibles to be distributed to students, as is the case in Orange County, Florida, we think the responsible thing to do is to ensure that these students are given access to a variety of different religious opinions, as opposed to standing idly by while one religious voice dominates the discourse and delivers propaganda to youth, unquote.
Now, many of you may have already started putting up decorations this holiday season, but the decorations at the state capitol are turning some heads.
That's right. Religious groups set up a menorah and a nativity scene, and now a new addition. WCIA3's Mark Maxwell is live at the Capitol for us tonight. Mark, you got a look at the new statue from the Satanic Temple there today.
Yeah, Jessica, that's right. Good evening. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas and like Hanukkah here at the state capitol, and now like, well, winter solstice, I suppose. We have some video of the new decorations that are here at the Capitol. It was last week during the hustle and bustle of veto session when all of these holiday decorations started going up, mostly behind the scenes. Folks were busy walking through and some didn't stop to take notice. Well, it was earlier this week when we saw a new addition. There's the manger scene with baby Jesus, and there's the candlesticks and the menorah for Hanukkah. Both of those put up by religious groups. Well, those groups not too thrilled with this latest installment, a statue from the Satanic Temple of Chicago. Now, Secretary of State Jesse White's office runs the State House here and all the different facilities. A spokesman for White told me that their message, emblazoned on the front of the statue, that knowledge is the greatest gift, he said, quote, I don't know how anyone can find that offensive. But two college students who study controversial or offensive monuments and statues, they came here just to see it earlier, and I caught up with both of them.
I personally am a Christian, I'm not an atheist, and I can understand how it would offend a lot of Christians, but this is it's an exercise of the First Amendment.
I think it's a bit shocking, especially with the board up front. I would say it's a bit provocative, but I think if you're going to have, freedom of speech, this is going to happen.
We showed you the front side. On the back, there's a board. That's what he referred to there. He says the board says that religion is but myth and superstition and hardens hearts and enslaves minds. Both students did think that the sign was intended as an insult or in protest to Christianity.
They first gained fame locally when they tried and failed to reenact a black mass at Harvard. But lately, the Salem-based Satanic Temple has been building a national profile thanks to a series of provocative interventions in the never-ending debate over church and state in America. Adam Riley has more.
From the outside, there's nothing exceptional about this storage shed off a busy road in Salem. But on the inside, it's another story.
It carries all these binary elements, which to us spoke to this idea of the reconciliation of opposites and pluralism. The animal, the human, pointing up, pointing down, the male and female.
Lucian Greaves is co-founder of the Satanic Temple, which calls itself a religious organization that opposes tyrannical authority and sees Satan as a symbol of free inquiry and personal autonomy. This statue was originally designed for the Oklahoma Capitol as a counterpoint to a controversial monument to the Ten Commandments. But then Oklahoma's Supreme Court ordered that monument's removal, so now the statue could be headed south.
Arkansas has already denied our monument going on their grounds. However, they're moving forward with putting up the Ten Commandments monument. We are going to sue Arkansas. There's no doubt about that.
Hail, comrades! Hail, sisters and brothers, and hail, Satan!
This one's sure to get you talking. A group of Satanists set to give the opening prayer at a Phoenix City Council meeting, and that is not sitting right with everyone. ABC 15's Noelani Graff live at City Hall tonight, getting the story from both sides here. Nohe, what'd you learn?
So, Stephanie, if you are in those council chambers next month, you're not going to hear from a reverend or a priest. Instead, it'll be a Satanic Templar member who starts off the meeting. The group says this is about freedom of religion. One city councilman says this is about showboating.
Yes, the city council members.
For city councilors, these chambers are hallowed ground where city laws are made. So at every meeting, they take a moment to say a prayer.
We're going to begin today's meeting with an invocation.
But the devil's in the details, as they say. At least he will be next month when Satanists will give the opening remarks.
We'll now have an invocation by Iris Fontana from the Satanic Temple. You may either remain standing or be seated. No one's required to participate. Please come forward.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me. Let us stand now, unbowed and unfettered by arcane doctrines born of fearful minds in darkened times. Let us embrace the Luciferian impulse to eat of the tree of knowledge and dissipate our blissful and comforting delusions of old. Let us demand that individuals be judged for their concrete actions, not their fealty to arbitrary social norms and illusory categorizations. Let us reason our solutions with agnosticism in all things, holding fast only to that which is demonstrably true. Let us stand firm against any and all arbitrary authority that threatens the personal sovereignty of all or one. That which will not bend must break, and that which can be destroyed by truth should never be spared its demise. It is done. Hail Satan. Thank you.
Triolo. Here. Vice Mayor Scott Maxwell. Here. Commissioner Christopher McVoy. Here. Commissioner Andy Amoroso. Here. Commissioner John Zerdy. Present.
If everyone would please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice Mayor Scott Maxwell.
Duly noted. Our collective atheism, which is to say loving empathy, scientific evidence, and critical thinking, leads us to believe that we can create a better, more equal community without religious divisions. May we pray together. Mother Earth, we gather today in your redeeming and glorious presence to invoke your eternal guidance in the universe, the original creator of all things. May the efforts of this council blend the righteousness of Allah with the all-knowing wisdom of Satan. May Zeus, the great god of justice, grant us strength tonight. Jesus might forgive our shortcomings, while Buddha enlightens us through his divine affection. We praise you, Krishna, for the sanguine sacrifice that freed us all. After all, if Almighty Thor is with us, who can ever be against us? And finally, for the bounty of logic, reason, and science, we simply thank the atheists, agnostics, humanists, who now account for 1 in 5 Americans, and growing rapidly. In closing, let us, above all, love one another, not to obtain mythical rewards for ourselves now, hereafter, or based on superstitious threats of eternal damnation, but rather embrace secular-based principles of morality and do good for goodness sake. And so we prayed, so what?
A local church is trying to repair damage left by a graffiti vandal, and the message appears to be satanic. It happened over the weekend at St. Anthony's on C Street in Oxnard. Parishioners found a satanic message written on the brick wall between the parking lot and the entrance. They say it is the first time in 60 years the church has been tagged.
Well, I think it's a very angry person that would come up and write something like that and tell us about somebody being mistreated or misguided in some way, and it just boiled over where they're feeling it. But if anything, who knows what they're really thinking. Just looking at what's there, the satanic star and the devil's fort, it sends a lot of messages.
16-year-old Victor Alice was found guilty of capital murder and gets life in prison for the horrific ritualistic death of 15-year-old Corian Cervantes. According to authorities, Alice and 17-year-old Jose Reyes beat the teen in a Houston apartment as an attempt to sell their souls to the devil. The girl begged for mercy as her attackers gouged out an eye, sexually assaulted her, stabbed her multiple times with a screwdriver, and bashed her head and face in with the lid of a toilet tank. Alice strangled Cervantes with his belt so he could sell his soul to Satan. Cervantes' body was found 4 days after the attack in the vacant apartment. Reyes was found guilty of capital murder in December. Both teens were tried as adults.
Well, it's a crime you'd expect TV detectives to face in prime time, but a Coffee County man is behind bars for a murder that is far from fiction. Gregory Scott Hale is charged with killing a woman and abusing the corpse. Channel 4's Julia Bruck is at the Coffee County Jail. Julia, what is the community saying about this?
Well, Demetria, tonight I've heard a lot of words used as shock and disbelief. Over the years, I've covered a number of murders, sadly, but what Gregory Hale's behind bars for tonight is one of the most gruesome and cruel murders I've ever covered. From the outside, it is hard to imagine what investigators found at this Coffee County home.
It's pitiful that something like this has to happen anywhere, and especially in a wonderful community.
Neighbors say Gregory Scott Hale grew up in this home near the Warren County line.
I'm very saddened that this has to happen to his parents.
Sunday night, the peace of the neighborhood was suddenly broken as officers executed a search warrant, and what they found shocked the community and some of Hale's friends.
And I never thought that he would have a person in his home dead and eat a person.
Investigators got a tip Hale murdered a woman at this home and tried to get help getting rid of her body. Court documents show Hale confessed to investigators to killing and dismembering her and consuming some of the remains. The Coffee County Sheriff says the woman is from DeKalb County. A gruesome sight that still surprises Hale's friend Tanya Fletcher, even though she says over the years, Hale was known to worship the devil.
He used to work at slaughterhouses killing animals for a couple, and he told me that he got fired for the owner come in and he was doing a satanic ritual in there.
The man accused of stabbing his teenage friend to death made his first court appearance this morning. 18-year-old Edward O'Neill IV is charged with murder. Police say O'Neill killed 16-year-old Ryan Robert last month and left his body near the 610 Loop and Holmes Road. Police have not released a motive in the killing, but friends and family of both the suspect and the victim say O'Neill practiced satanic worship.
To a developing story on a teenage girl found dead off the Beltway. The 2 teen men arrested in this case, alleged gang members, went before a judge earlier today, and we are now learning new details about what led up to the murder. That girl was found off of the Beltway on Sharpcrest February 16th. Channel 2's Phil Archer live with what happened in court today. Phil?
Well, police still don't know the victim's name. She is a teenager allegedly murdered because she insulted Satan. Her accused killers, members of a notorious street gang that in recent months seem to have grown even more violent. The case against Miguel Angel Alvarez Flores and Diego Alexander Hernandez Rivera rests on the testimony of a teenage girl, a girl police say was abducted, raped, and then held as a prisoner by the MS-13 street gang. The girl told police she was held along with another young woman she knew only by the name of Genesis at an apartment where the men lived and where they'd erected a satanic shrine. On February 16th, the girl told police Genesis denounced the shrine and a short time later disappeared. Her body was found dumped in the street. She'd been shot in the head and stomach. That killing allegedly ordered by Alvarez Flores to appease the devil.
He gave orders to the co-defendant to kill the female that we know as Genesis. Co-defendant Diego Rivera gave a statement to police stating that he fired the weapon.
A self-described Satanist awaiting trial for murder in North Carolina is dead after an apparent suicide in prison. 36-year-old Pazuzu Algarad was found unresponsive in his cell in Raleigh early Wednesday morning, October 28th. The New York Daily News reports the heavily tattooed inmate had a wound to his arm. Algarad was scheduled to appear in court Thursday on first-degree murder charges. Skeletal remains were found a year ago, buried behind his home in Clemens, and the victims, men ages 36 and 37, are believed to have been killed by Algarad and his girlfriend in 2009. She is awaiting a separate trial. Algarad changed his name from John Lawson in 2012, and Pazuzu was the name used for a demon in the movie The Exorcist. The inmate said he practiced a religion that involved the monthly sacrifice of a small animal.
This is a letter that went home with kids today about what happened. It tries to reassure parents and tells them that there were no weapons or dangerous objects involved. But one parent calls that an outright lie. And tonight we talk with kids who were in the classroom at the time, and they give us an eyewitness account of what happened.
I was scared and I was crying really bad.
Students at John Sloat Elementary describe a day of horror on Thursday when one of their classmates, a 5th grade girl, started shouting she was part of the Illuminati and threatened to kill other students.
She said she wanted to sell her soul to the devil, and then she said she'll kill everybody. Everybody just started crying because they were scared that they were going to die that day.
At one point, students say she grabbed a pair of scissors.
Yeah, I see her trying to cut herself and put and like draw blood, but then she got up and tried to stab another girl that was a seat away from her.
Students say she also drew Illuminati symbols like this one and wrote 666 in the bathroom. Students say her outburst went on for at least an hour, with the teacher only telling them to ignore the girl.
He thought she was just trying to get attention.
When they told the teacher about what was going on,
Antonio Farinas contacted News 10 because he thinks the school should have notified him immediately.
To not be notified about it all day until 6:30 at night last night, that was real upsetting, because when I picked up my kids from school, they were in tears.
Some parents we spoke with think the school could have done more to protect the kids in class and should have taken the girl out of class much sooner.
With all the stuff that's been going on with schools, what does it take for a child to show you that there's something wrong, for her to actually follow through with what she says she's gonna do?
They should have stepped it like right away and not let her scare them more, you know?
Developing tonight, police arrested 2 Bartow Middle School girls accused of plotting to attack and kill their classmates. Now, police say they brought several weapons to school, including knives, a pizza cutter, and scissors. But the girls told investigators it was all part of a ritual meant to honor Satan. The news reporter Shannon Valladolid spoke with some concerned parents who took their kids out of school after hearing about the possible attack.
The details in this arrest report are disturbing. The girls ages 11 and 12 had in-depth plans on how to kill students and ultimately take their own lives as a way to worship Satan. These drawings show their plan to attack classmates in the 400 and 500 wings of Bartow Middle School.
And we're waiting in the bathroom for the opportunity to find smaller kids that they could overpower to be their victims. Both juveniles stated that they are practicing Satanists.
Once investigators searched through their phones, they found Snapchat messages where both girls described gruesome details about the massacre. The girls admitted to police they planned to kill at least one student, but their goal was to kill 15 to 25 using knives just like this one.